Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we have your SummerSlam recap. Adam Cole, baby, turns on the Young Bucks. We have your G1 nights 7 through 9, I think, recap. It's 3 nights of G1. Ric Flair has his last match. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. If a tree drops in the forest, does it still kayfabe? And sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
I'm going to go ahead and answer the question and say no, because nobody saw the job itself. So in that scenario, there cannot be kayfabe. So there you go, everybody. There's the questions of the history of wrestling life and all we know about it. On that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 268, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saying, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. I don't know what we're going to talk about this week to start off the pod. I know, the basic principles, the 3 count and all that other good stuff, but I'm sitting here trying to rack my head about what I want to start with, because it's one of two things, obviously. It's either G1 or SummerSlam. I'll let you do your thing, and then let me figure out what the fuck I want to talk about to start.
So we're coming at you from sunny, hot St. Charles, Missouri on the back patio. What you give me that look for?
This is not hot.
It's pretty hot out.
We've been out here hotter than this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's cold. It means it's still fucking hot, though. We're coming to, and the Vagey clan's got some new patio furniture.
It is nice.
Pretty nice. We dropped enough fucking money on it. But, so it's pretty comfortable back. Propane tank goes under here, and this will have a little fireplace on it if you want it. So you take this thing off, and it's got a bunch of rocks in there, and it's got like a little fireplace.
Like this thing right here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
See?
I see you.
See?
I see you.
Welcome to the suburbs.
You're moving on up.
So no Zach this week, unfortunately. It was the end of his, I don't know, how long has he been on vacation? 6, 8 weeks?
Whatever.
Something like that. It seems like he's been on vacation for a while.
It's work. It's happy hour. It's vacation.
I'm with my family. He's like, now I'm at happy hour. It's like, okay, Zach, whatever. So you
come back whenever you're ready, buddy.
You just got me and Jason. So this is basically just a throwback to the 2000 aughts on the front patio of Jack Patrick's Bar and Grill in downtown St. Louis. Just some of the players are the same.
Yeah, right.
But now we watch Japanese wrestling, and let's get to that 3 count.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
JCB, kick it off.
Fuck it. I guess let's go in order the way we should. SummerSlam on Saturday night. Shit, where was SummerSlam at this year?
Nashville.
Nashville, I was going to say, because Corbin came out in Indianapolis gear. Okay, anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches, if I'm counting it right. Main event, obviously, Brock versus Roman. Last man standing for the undisputed WWE Unified Heavyweight Championship. For me, the biggest takeaway was probably that match, Becky and Bianca being the other biggest takeaway. I did not see SummerSlam until late Sunday night, and when I went to Tinder's apartment to watch Ric Flair's last match, the entire card itself, he was pretty excited about SummerSlam. More excited than I've seen Tinder be about the WWE product in a while. Yo, he was like, did you watch it? Did you watch it? I was like, nah, man, I'll get to it.
Right.
He's like, oh, man, you got to watch it. He's like, no, it was really good. I was like, okay,
Good for Joe.
For me, I only had like 2 matches that I really, really cared about. And then if you kind of reeled me in with a match or 2, okay, I can go with that. Brock versus Roman, I thought was the best way you could come with a last man standing match, have both guys look strong, and have one guy obviously go over and get the pin. By the time that match ended, you had obviously the tractor spot. Theory had came out. The Usos had came out. And right in the moment that wasn't in the back was out at a certain point in time. Heyman got, F5'd. When they buried Brock underneath all that rubble, I was like, okay, this is the only way, the way they're telling this story, that Brock can stay down for a count of 10 and make it believable. Because everything else they did to this point, somehow, some way, guys stumbled out. Roman might have not have made it at a 10 count at one point. I'll let you decide that. For me, I didn't have a lot of high hopes coming into it, and I was pleasantly surprised. The right guy went over, and they emptied the tank on this one, if that makes sense. If this is going to be the quote-unquote last time they're going to do this, they empty the tank. I don't believe that this is going to be the last time. Somewhere down the line, 6 months, a year from now, I think we cross this bridge again, title or no title. I don't think you get away from Brock versus Roman anytime soon. It's WWE's preeminent matchup. Rock versus Hogan was one, Rock and Austin were one of those matchups. HBK, Bret Hart. I think this is along that same line. So for me, I wasn't in love with it, but I think they did just enough to where I was like, okay, I can deal with this. There was enough chaos. There was enough sports entertainment. The right guy went over. I didn't have a problem with the match.
I didn't have a problem with the match. It was a spectacle, and it is probably befitting of a SummerSlam main event because it's not Mania. It's not taken quite as seriously in terms of having somebody go over clean or something like that. It's SummerSlam. It's a little bit different historically. Nobody does spectacle like WWE. The tractor stuff, I watched it live because I was home. My wife was sitting there looking at her iPhone, much as she is right now, just fucking staring at her iPhone. Just never stops looking at her iPhone. Just like fucking Instagram to Facebook, back to Instagram, Pinterest. What was I talking about?
Tractor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I watched it live.
See how I have to pay attention? I'm like, what the fuck did he talk? Oh, yeah, the tractor.
So I watched it live. I wasn't all that. I guess I'm so jaded that it seemed really obvious to me. It's like, this is the only way that you can do Brock and Roman another time and have it feel any different than their many, many matches that they've had before this in big spots like this. It's not just like they fought on Raw or anything. They fight huge matches, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Crown Jewel. They fight these huge main event matches, and they've been doing it for 10 years. So I just kind of saw through it, and I was like, okay, so now Brock has a tractor, and this is fun. I'm sure it's fun for the people in the arena, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it. Wasn't really for me, and maybe that makes me
I agree.
Maybe that just makes me like super jaded, just a super cynical wrestling fan. But
it wasn't for me.
And this is gonna make us sound like fucking snob ass wrestling hipsters, but after you've been watching G1 for, you're watching 5 G1 matches or 15 G1 matches a week for a couple weeks, it's like, I don't mind a change of pace. This match didn't really do it for me. I thought that Becky versus Bianca was really, really good.
Upon revealing that Becky had a separated shoulder for about 20 minutes in that match,
right?
I think it really magnifies how good that match really was.
I think that Logan Paul was even one-upped himself in terms of like how good he was at WrestleMania. I thought he was even better in this SummerSlam match. And we talked about after WrestleMania about how he was a natural. And he said afterwards, like, he feels like he's meant to do this, like he found his calling in life. It really looks like he has.
I agree. the SummerSlam match, I guess. What was the was that the WrestleMania match when they had against the Mysterios?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could kind of hide him if you needed to, if you didn't think he would be able to stand those bright lights. That wasn't the case then. I think this time around it was like watching McAfee versus Adam Cole. It was a one-on-one match, so you really had a chance to have him sink or swim, and he swam tremendously.
Yeah,
I mean,
beautifully.
it was. I don't like the fact that they're making him a babyface right now, but past that, I thought him in the ring, Pat McAfee, I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. They're like some Bad Bunny. They're like the last.
Fucking Johnny Knoxville. I mean, really, it wasn't that long ago when this was Ronda Rousey.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It kind of seems like this is. I mean, because now they have, if you count Rousey, which I know nobody wants to, but really, it wasn't that long ago when she made her debut. What was it, 5 years ago or something when they had that WrestleMania match where
Feels
it was
like it,
her and Angle versus...
We were doing the pie when they were when they had that match, so it had to be within the last 5 years.
Right. So, excuse me, that is the era of celebrities making appearances at big pay-per-views, premium live events.
Yeah, get your shit right.
That company doesn't fucking pay me. I still call pay-per-views.
Rage against the machine, baby.
But the era has shifted to where now, who's going to be the next guy? I heard that Dwight Howard was working out.
I heard that too. That they said that in like when their spots where they had the SummerSlam trials. I was like, Dwight Howard. Did I hear that shit right, man? What the fuck?
Who do you think would have been better at the other person's job? Do you think Dwight would be a better wrestler or Omos would have been a better NBA player?
If I had to guess, I'm going to go with Dwight Howard would be the better wrestler.
This is just me taking a shot at Dwight Howard, the basketball player, because I never really thought of him very much as an NBA player.
No, I was going to say Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah.
Say whatever, motherfucker.
But Logan Paul was probably the thing when I thought back to it, because I really didn't think about it the next day. But as I thinking about the podcast, I was like, God damn, that Logan Paul. I mean, he did from the top turnbuckle onto the announce table.
That's some Shane McMahon shit.
It's some Shane McMahon shit, and he was doing other people's moves, which is also Shane McMahon shit, because Shane McMahon never really had a finishing move. It was always just he would do other people's moves and then jump off of something.
Crawling somebody to get the pin.
But, I mean, watching it live, like I said this about, I guess it was Money in the Bank. Watching it live, I had a good time. I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I wasn't expecting a 5-star classic from Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I never expect a 5-star classic out of Roman Reigns at all. So I was hoping for a spectacle, and it delivered.
Yep.
I think we've seen the buried underneath stuff before. Didn't somebody pull a string and have a bunch of folding chairs fall down on somebody sometime?
Yeah.
I feel like it was Kevin Owens, but
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, we've seen people get buried before, and I won't sit here and say it's an original thought, but for this spectacle, like you said, for everything that we've gotten up to that point, I'm sitting there like, okay, how the fuck does this match end? How does somebody stay down for 10 seconds?
But you were right from the get-go. The first thing you said, it's like they had Brock Lesnar lose a last man standing match, and he doesn't look bad coming out of it.
No.
He doesn't look any less strong coming out of it.
No, I mean, if anything, you can almost make an argument that he could get the rematch or whatever the case may be. Theory comes out, whatever. Whoever lost that match needed to be as strong as they were coming into that match. Brock Lesnar loses nothing. Roman Reigns gets another notch on his belt. He can crow about beating Brock Lesnar in the last man standing match. Everybody walks away happy. Brock can go away for a little bit if you want him to, or he could just be on the peripheral. You can bring Brock in at any time. They've shown that. I think a couple of things we haven't talked about. The biggest thing to me is the return of Bayley with Dakota Sky, and Io Shirai, or I'm sorry, Io
Dakota Kai and Io Sky.
Thank you. I'm gonna fuck that up for at least 2 or 3
It's easy
weeks.
to fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I'm so used to her being Io Shirai. So obviously after the curtain jerker Becky versus Bianca match, Becky loses to Bianca, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, so where's Bayley? I mean, immediately.
Didn't even cross my mind.
I've been calling for this for a minute because now it's like, now what?
Attention.
I know you don't. No, most people don't. I'm like, now what? Okay, what's next? And then as soon as, we cleared Becky out of the ring, boom, Bayley's music hit. I was like, okay, good start. We haven't seen Bayley they said a year. It feels like it's been 3. If it wasn't for Bayley getting hurt, I think Bayley and Bianca are telling the story that Becky and Bianca just told, if that makes sense. There was going to be like a last woman standing match between Bayley and Bianca. It was right around Survivor Series, and Bayley got hurt, and she hasn't been back since that point. It feels right. This feels like that should have been Bayley and Bianca telling this story. If you wanted to bring Becky back like they did last year's SummerSlam early after she gave birth, you could have done it. You could have waited and let Bayley and Bianca tell their story, then bring Becky back in. They didn't. They brought Becky back in last year's SummerSlam, and they've been telling a year-long story. Now return to Bayley. Perfect. Dakota Kai was a huge surprise because obviously they released her, but this to me was the first sign of the Triple H regime. She's bringing back someone.
The Paul Levesque era.
Okay. I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. Bringing back somebody that clearly he likes and the fans like as well. And then Io Sky, I thought, was the one that was the surprise of the bunch.
Yeah, it was an exciting return to have Bayley come back. Bayley is good. I either would have, A, had her cut a promo, or B, have her come out last. Like, her coming out first was like, oh, shit, Bayley's back. And then it was Dakota Kai next, and then it was Io Sky next, and it was the law of diminishing returns. Like, the crowd just popped less and less and less. Well, I mean,
no, I disagree. When Io came out, I think it was a bigger. It might have went down when Dakota came out. It went back up, in my opinion, when Io Sky came out. She's been one that's been floundering in NXT for way too long.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
And that to me was like, okay, this is Triple H making a stamp on SummerSlam. And it's not the only stamp he made, but it was a stamp, and it came out early.
For sure. What do you think? I believe their faction is called Control. Have you heard that?
I was watching Monday Night Raw, and I'm like, okay, they've been on like 2 times at this point. I was like, okay, we got to get these girls a name. We can't have them saying Bayley and Dakota and Io Sky every fucking week. We need to get a name. Somebody threw out Control to me. I was like, nah, that doesn't even sound good. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that, so I hope that's not the case. But, yeah, that was, I guess, the name kind of thrown out. I don't think it's stuck. They haven't said anything on WWE. We'll find out next week if they have a faction name or not. But, yeah, not a huge fan of Control. I get it, but I think we could do a little better than that.
I saw on Twitter that people are calling them the Shield, but they're spelling it SHEELD. Get it? Like the Shield? Huh?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
The 3-woman power trip? No.
A little better than the Shield. I can go with that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the Ronda Rousey-Liv Morgan match. So, obviously, controversy abounds in that match where you have Ronda Rousey having Liv Morgan in a nasty armbar submission with Ronda Rousey's shoulders on the mat as she has Liv Morgan in this armbar submission. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, your shoulders are on the mat. You need to get the shoulders off the mat before he counts to 3. And as the referee's counting, I'm like, okay, it's the 2 count. I'm like, okay, she's going to roll her shoulders off or release the hold. And then, the 3 count happens. I didn't even see Liv tap out until someone said, oh, did Liv tap out? And then the controversy began. So they do a couple replays. We see that Liv taps out just before the 3 count. So Ronda Rousey should have won and obviously should have reclaimed her women's championship. And Ronda Rousey goes ballistic. Takes out Liv Morgan, takes out refs, the whole shebang, official Ronda Rousey heel turn complete. I wish they would have done this beforehand, but now we do have the heel turn of Ronda Rousey that I've been calling for. It looks like, it even look like it. I'm sure we'll get a third Ronda Rousey Liv Morgan match where now you'll have full-blown heel Ronda versus babyface Liv Morgan. I'll be really curious to see how they play that because now you've given Ronda 2 outs with her first 2 losses to Liv Morgan. At some point, if you're going to invest in Liv Morgan, you're probably going to have her beat Ronda Rousey clean. So whenever those paths cross, that's what I'm looking for on that scenario.
I thought the finish was clever enough. You know, I saw exactly what was happening when it happened. I was like, oh, she's going to get pinned. I didn't think that you had to have Liv tap out. Like, why would you make Liv tap out except to protect Rousey? She's already been protected. You know, are you watching me try to hold on to this baby?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she is not having it.
You know, you remember when Michael Jackson dangled the baby over the balcony? No, hold on.
Stop.
Hear me out. Remember when Michael Jackson held the baby over the balcony?
Yes.
And everybody was like, that's so dangerous. How careless is that? Dude, you can't drop a baby off a balcony. I feel completely I've never done it. I would feel completely comfortable holding my child over a balcony and being sure that I wouldn't drop her. And I'm sure that Michael Jackson felt the exact same way.
You both motherfuckers are crazy.
Who, me and Michael Jackson?
Yes. Okay, one-handed over on a balcony with my baby. Shit, you out your monkey.
No, he was holding that baby with both hands.
I need to see the replay on that.
I'm here to defend Michael Jackson.
I'm going to need to see the replay on that. I'm pretty sure that was a one-handed, like, no, I got you. Oh, no, wait, where you going?
Look, what, you mean like this?
Yeah,
holding her one-handed?
Kind of like that. That's what I'm saying, man. It's 2 hands, man. Please.
Hold on a second. So I thought the finish, having her tap out to Rousey, was just, I thought it was overkill. It's like you've already presented Liv Morgan as being kind of a weak champ. You've already presented Ronda Rousey for the last 5 years as being a world beater, somebody who can beat anybody, basically, in the women's division. There was no reason to do that. That being said, I thought it was a clever enough way to keep the title on Liv and not have it be a short reign.
It's a clever way to keep the title on Liv, get heat on Ronda Rousey as she flips, and now you have justification for another match. Do I like it? Not necessarily, but like you said, it was clever enough to where now, as much as I don't like it, it makes sense. And that's the one thing of my biggest criticism about WWE for a long time is because they never connect the dots. It makes sense. I don't necessarily like it. I don't necessarily want to see a third match, but we're going to see it, and I understand why. Okay, fair enough.
The last thing that I want to talk about was the Usos go over the Street Profits once again. Clean, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Montez Ford looks dejected at the end. Now, listen. I understand that the Usos are one of the greatest tag teams that the WWE has ever had, blah, blah, blah. They've been champs for
over a
year. They are not... What are they called? How come I can't remember what fucking Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage were called?
Mega Powers.
They're not the Mega Powers. They're not unbeatable. The Street Profits are presented as being legitimate enough that they should be able to go over the Usos 1 out of every 5 times. And to have the Usos go over again, it's just... I understand that they're getting ready to turn one of the Street Profits against the other one. I don't know which one it's going to be. If I had to guess that they're going to turn Montez Ford, but it could be either one. But I didn't really like this. I want to see the Street Profits go over.
Another, I guess, mark of the Triple H regime. I didn't necessarily, and I predicted the Usos were going to win. I think we all did at that point.
Yes, we did.
I think it was the way that Montez Ford reacted at the end, where it was, it's visible frustration.
That was the whole point of the match, pretty much.
Right. It was probably their. The bad part about this match, it came on the heels of what I thought was one of their better matches. The last time they had
at Money in the Bank.
I thought that was one of their better matches that they've had in their little feud or whatever the case may be.
Probably their best match.
I wouldn't have an argument if you said that. Totally wouldn't have an argument against that. But we're planting seeds for something. Now, what that something is, I don't know just yet. But I don't necessarily want the Street Profits to break up right away. If this is going to be a slow kind of a slow build to it to where ultimately they break up, I'm okay with that. I thought that this was, like I said, the match wasn't exactly that good, but ultimately it was about what could be, what's going to be, and sooner or later I think the Street Profits break up is just how they get to it.
And then McAfee versus Corbin, the right guy went over, if I'm remembering correctly, right? McAfee went over.
McAfee went over. It was what it was. I'll say this. I don't mind Pat McAfee being on the shows. I mean, he is going to be on the shows. I get it. We need to get him like either go back to his NXT theme music or stick to something that's going to get the crowd hyped to it. This choir thing, I get it. Bum-ass Corbin was the theme coming into it, but it felt disjointed. It just didn't work. Was the crowd supposed to sing Bum-ass Corbin after the choir, or, it didn't feel right. So then, like, his entrance wasn't, like, exactly hype. I liked his WrestleMania entrance way better. I hate, no disrespect, Blood Girl Raven. I hate the Baltimore Ravens, but that dun, 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 that's something that everybody knows. Everybody can sing along and get behind Pat McAfee. Nobody knew what the fuck to do with this shit.
Yeah, but they'd have to. That's the White Stripes Seven Nation Army, and they'd have to buy the rights to it. I have no idea how much something like that costs.
Like WWE can't afford to shell out.
Well, sure, I know,
check.
but a lot of fan bases do that chant, and it doesn't go over the loudspeakers. People just like chanting it. You know what I mean? Like you'll hear it at soccer games in UEFA. And it's not like they play it over the loudspeakers.
I'll say this, and we can move on to Raw, because I think there's a couple of things I want to talk about on Raw, specifically Ciampa. I think it's just one of those things where if you're going to have Pat McAfee come in and out, that's fine. I get it. It's kind of like we talked about with Logan Paul or whatever. But just stick to something that's going to work. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to get this is for, the crowd that, that likes Pat McAfee, that likes the sports entertainment portion of it, or you're trying to get the casual fan into it. Make it to where now, oh my God, did you see Pat McAfee's entrance at SummerSlam? No, I didn't. So then the next time he comes out, you make it where it's must-see TV. If you're trying to get these casual fans, you want to make it to where now, oh, Pat McAfee's wrestling on what time? Oh, I'll go to, Joey's house. He always has wrestling on. And then you get your ass over there and you watch it. That's all I'm saying. Outside of that, I mean, I thought SummerSlam was what it was. It was a lot of storylines that were getting wrapped up under the Vince regime that Triple H inherited. So it wasn't the best pay-per-view. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view.
Give me a letter grade.
C+.
That's exactly where I was. C+. I'm a little surprised that everybody is as high on it as they are. I thought it was completely serviceable.
Right. I was not mad by watching it, but
didn't blow me away.
No, by no means. Edge coming back, okay. Riddle getting stomped by Seth. I get it. Keep Seth hot. He called out Roman. You got the ooh and ah with that. Theory and Lashley was what it was. No surprise there. Judgment Day, Mysterio's, it makes sense now because you have Edge coming back. That's why you have the no DQ. Corbin McAfee, whatever. Okay, let's talk about Raw really quick. Mm-hmm. To me, the two biggest takeaways from Raw was the immediate, resurgence, for lack of a better word, for the U.S. title. They did a whole vignette about, past winners of the U.S. title, and this is one of the things that others I've seen online talk about, myself included, that the mid-card titles just don't feel important anymore. So now they feel like, at least early on in the Triple H regime, that it feels like there was going to be some sort of resurgence or build for the mid-card title, in this case, the U.S. title.
They definitely made it feel important. There was 6 guys that were all in 2 triple threat matches, the Bill Vegas special, that were fighting their asses off to try to get that U.S. title shot to fight. Well, to just get in a match to get that U.S. title shot. They had, like you said, that vignette, and that definitely feels different. What really felt different was who won. That felt way different.
Yeah, I was kind of rooting for Ali in the first triple threat, Ali, AJ versus Miz. I thought this was a chance to get Ali over. No problem with AJ winning. The finish was absolutely ridiculous, 450, and then AJ pounces on him for a Styles Clash. Very original. Didn't see that one coming. And then on the back end, you had Dolph versus Ciampa versus Chad Gable. Original name in Chad Gable. Dolph can wrestle with anybody, and then Ciampa was the one guy that, in a Triple H regime, Tommaso Ciampa is that guy. Obviously, him and Johnny Gargano have arguably the best feud in NXT history. So I was really looking to see if Ciampa was going to win this match, which he did. So now, obviously, you have Ciampa versus AJ later on that same night. Ciampa wins again.
Unbelievable.
So now you have Ciampa versus Bobby Lashley next week for the U.S. title. This is for me, the biggest takeaway from the whole weekend is because SummerSlam wasn't necessarily Triple H's baby. This Monday Night Raw felt like Triple H's baby.
I was just going to say the same thing. I thought that when I was reading reactions to SummerSlam online before Monday Night Raw, I thought that people were a little too quick to be like, "Oh, Dakota Kai's back. The Triple H regime started." It's like, well, they've fired people and hired them right back before. That's not that unusual. I know that she's an NXT talent, which means that Triple H probably likes her a lot, but you can say definitively, and I don't think I think there's a 0% chance that Tommaso Ciampa would be the next challenger for the U.S. title against Bobby Lashley if Vince still has the pencil.
I said 6 months ago, I would have never if you'd have told me this was happening, I would have never believed it. Now, it seems very feasible. It almost seems feasible that Bobby Lashley could lose the U.S. title to Ciampa, and I wouldn't bat an eyelash. For me personally, I would love to see Ciampa as the U.S. champion coming in to start as if he's going to be on the main roster, I would love him to be the U.S. champ to start and have him build from there. For Bobby Lashley, he doesn't need to be U.S. champion. He needs to be running down Roman Reigns. So for me, it's a perfect way to separate Bobby Lashley from the U.S. title, have Ciampa there, and establish him as a mid-card guy first. And if you want to move him up, fantastic. And Roman is going to need more opponents. If he gets past Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley could be in the wings or somebody else. So in that scenario, you can kind of see the chess pieces move a little bit under Triple H.
I'd love to see Ciampa win. I'm a Blackheart guy through and through. He was the king of NXT in my mind for a long time, for over a year.
Did you see his promo backstage after?
I did not.
Woo!
I will say this though. My argument against him winning, I'd love to see him win. My argument against him winning, just in terms of predictions, and I'm not saying you predicted it, but I could see him winning because what you laid out makes a lot of sense. Somebody has to take this title off of Roman before WrestleMania, right? No, probably not.
Seth Rollins is my guess.
But Lashley is doing, since he got hooked up with the Hurt Business, he has been doing the work of his career, I would say. He has been fantastic, and he is over like Rover. He is people are with him, and people like Bobby Lashley. I, for one, would love to see Bobby Lashley take the belt off of Roman Reigns. I don't see it happening. But I didn't watch the match. I saw Ciampa. I thought it was going to be Ciampa versus AJ. I figured it would be AJ. I didn't watch the match. I woke up the next day, checked it, saw Ciampa won, was very pleasantly surprised. So go Ciampa.
It was good. The last thing I want to talk about is just, and it's not a big major storyline, but it's something that I guess highlights the difference between the Vince regime and the Triple H regime. The Mysterios versus the Usos was the main event on Raw and Monday night for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Obviously, the Usos won. But in the midst of them winning, you had Edge come out to try to help out the Mysterios and then accidentally spear Dom and then go out to try to chase off Judgment Day as they came in beforehand to attack the Mysterios. For something that is very predictable, Usos winning, okay, I get it. But to me, there has to be a reason why. Why are we doing this match? Ray had an interesting promo early on. It was like, Edge and I were tag team champions, and tag team champions are forever. So now we're going to be ready to test that theory. I'm glad that Edge is back, but I don't want him to always have to be on the Judgment Day's tail. Having Rey Mysterio in this gives it a little twist, because now you basically attack my son. Whether you meant to or not, obviously we're going to figure that out as time progresses. But this is, to me, more of Triple H playing I guess it's a story game where he's telling the story where Edge wants to get back at Judgment Day, but Dom just got in the way. This might just be friendly fire, Ray. I'm sorry your son got in the way, but I got things to do. Ray ain't going to like that shit because that's my son. You speared my son.
I see it going a different way. I see Dom joining Judgment Day.
If you wanted to do it, this could be the catalyst for it.
Everything you just said made a ton of sense, though. I didn't see Ray say that tag team champions are forever. Ray and Edge have been tag team champions, each guy with probably 6 different guys. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration. I mean, I can just name 4 off the top of my head that both of them have been tag team champions. I mean, Edge, you got Christian, you got Randy Orton, you got Rey Mysterio, you got Chris Jericho was tag team champions with Edge at one time. So that's 4 guys right there. Ray, you got probably Chris Jericho.
Batista, I do remember that.
Batista, Big Show.
Yeah, I was going to say Big Show.
They were tag team champions one time, so I mean, that means that you're tag team champions with a lot of dudes forever. It's not like people remember, it's not like the Edge and Ray tag team.
Yeah, you see how great we came with and just routed off both of these tag team champion partners. I guess my point is this.
Ray was probably tag team champions with Kane at some time. Edge was probably tag team champions with Kane at one time.
We hate that Undertaker motherfucker. Raw did a 2.2 on Monday night. I think it was like one of the better ratings they've had probably all year long.
Wow.
Going back to maybe in 2021. I guess I'll be perfectly honest, and if you can chime in, and if you want to move on, we can. I'll say this and on just WWE in general. I was not really looking forward to SummerSlam. I was kind of having one foot out of the door with WWE as a product because Vince is just Vince, and it just was really getting to the point where 3 hours of Raw was just becoming now a struggle. I can do 2 hours of SmackDown. That's easy. The third hour of Raw it starts to become a grind where it feels like you should pay me to watch this third hour. Now I feel like, okay, next week I'm ready to watch. I want to see what happens next. Ciampa and Lashley sounds like it's going to be amazing shit. You're going to have Becky, or not Becky, but Bianca and the ladies with their own little feud going on. Edge and Ray is going to have their thing going on. I want to see what's next. If this was the Vince regime, I would be like, man, I don't even want to. Do I want to watch Raw next week? It's been a long time since I've been like, okay, I want to see what happens next. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens on SmackDown on Friday night.
There's a little bit of juice in the product.
There is, and It's been a hot minute. I think it's the first time since we started the podcast where I'm kind of excited watching WWE product again.
And Theory was not on Raw this week.
Perfect. 24/7 title wasn't on Raw this week as well. Something to look out for. I don't know if it's going to go to SmackDown or not.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about it either until somebody said it on Twitter. It was like 30 on Monday night, and somebody's like, do you realize the 24/7 hasn't been on the Raw yet? They're like, dude, shut up. You're going to jinx it. Shut up.
You think there's somebody out there that was watching Raw and Raw got done? They were like, where the fuck was Dana Brooke? Where the fuck was Reginald?
Damn, we forgot to get these guys on. Like I said, the Triple H regime looks different. It feels different. And it has me actually wanting to watch the product versus feeling like I have to watch the product.
Let's hit that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer. What's a 2 count? Yeah, we got AEW Dynamite last night. It was a pretty good show. No, I'm just kidding. I almost killed Jason. Sorry, Jason. AEW, I'm not even sure that was a good impression. So AEW started off this week, and we're going to go through the whole show like usually. We're probably not going to spend as much time on it as if it were.
Stop. Be nice.
I'm being nice. Hand me a shot, please. Starting off, we had Lethal versus Orange Cassidy. Good match. Lethal went over. Oh, yeah, Lethal went over, definitely. Lethal went over. Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh came out, and they basically called out Wardlow. They were getting ready to do some damage to Orange Cassidy. Wardlow comes out. Lethal challenges them for the TNT title, and they said they were going to kick the shit out of Orange Cassidy. That was basically the end. The crowd seemed hype for Wardlow, which is good. They're keeping it simple with Wardlow. We had some criticisms here. At least I had some strong criticisms about the way they treated Wardlow after his big win over MJF. Keeping it simple with him is good. The crowd still loves him. What did you think about this segment? First of all, what do you think about Lethal versus Cassidy?
I like the match. I'll be honest. I thought Orange Cassidy was going to win. So even with Lethal getting the win, it just felt like it was like a surprise. I was like, oh, shit, that's crazy talk. But I like the match. It started off just, traditional, and then it was an Orange Cassidy match. It became a Jay Lethal match at the end. So we ran the gamut with a bunch of different types of styles, which is always good. I won't say the right guy went over. I would I would really think that Jay Lethal would be the guy that would, take the L here. But if you're going to have Wardlow versus Jay Lethal, which we ultimately find out in later on that night, you're going to have them at Battle of the Belts on Saturday. This makes sense. So at the end of the day, it's not a big loss for Orange Cassidy. I mean, I think he still has a little bit of that shine from the Will Osprey loss. I thought he was strong in that loss coming out of it versus anything else. But if Jay Lethal is going to face Wardlow on Saturday, this is the way to do it. This is the way you build to it. And we'll see what happens on Saturday. I would assume Wardlow would win, and then we move on from there. But I like the match. I didn't have a problem with it at all.
I like the match a whole bunch. I've been up and down on Orange Cassidy since since I've even known who he was, which is basically at the inception of AEW. The guy has good matches. There's no doubt about it. The crowd's behind him. He puts on compelling matches. I loved when Jay Lethal was getting ready to do the big spot off the top rope, and Orange Cassidy kind of slowly rolled out and then did the Naito thing. And the look on Jay Lethal's face was just priceless. It was so good. Wardlow versus Jay Lethal seems to me like the right way to go. It seems like, this would be a good way to help get Wardlow even more over, especially after Lethal pinned Ric Flair the other night. Yeah, I know. I know.
Don't make me come over there.
That was a joke.
Don't make me come over there. Nah,
why did Flair win?
Almost lost his life.
Why did Flair win? I know. We'll talk about it later. But why
did Flair win? The fuck?
You gotta go out on your back, dude.
No, you don't.
He almost went out in his coffin. So that was almost an involuntary coffin match. The next segment, we'll get to it later. The next segment was the Undisputed Elite, and comes out with the Young Bucks, or whatever you call them. It was Adam Cole, Bebe, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Young Bucks. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish turn on the Young Bucks. Kind of saw it coming at the beginning of the segment. You did not.
No.
I kind of saw it coming at the beginning of the segment because it had been so long since Adam Cole had been out there. I guess he's been gone for probably 5 weeks or something.
Since basically the Forbidden Door pay-per-view.
So he says there's a trios tournament coming up. You guys aren't going to be able to fight because you won't be medically cleared or you won't be physically able. And then Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly turn on the Young Bucks. Hangman Page comes out to make the save. What did you think about this segment? If you were surprised by it, were you pleasantly surprised by it?
Pleasantly surprised, yeah, because the trios title is something that I've always wanted to see actually happen, and now we're making steps to that point. From that point, yeah, it took me completely by surprise because the way Adam Cole set it up was like, you guys can't just be a part of this trios tournament because you're just not physically able to do it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, these motherfuckers stand here look pretty good to me. And next thing you know, it just turned on its head and flipped. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. So now, obviously, the big rumor is they weren't going to do the trios titles until Kenny Omega comes back. But Adam Page makes the save. So the Hung Bucks, like they have been called in the past, are probably going to be that team.
So Zach didn't make up the Hung Bucks?
No.
That's a really good name
for
Hangman Page and the Young Bucks.
I love the shit. I think it's absolutely Comedy Central. So the Hung Bucks, I think, are going to be a team. I think the Undisputed Elite are going to be a team. And I wouldn't be surprised to see those two teams be the final two and the trios tournament, however you want to do it.
So was Adam Cole lying about Kyle O'Reilly and not being medically cleared?
None of the, and I'll call them still the Undisputed Elite or call them the Undisputed Era, whatever you want to call it. None of them are medically cleared to wrestle. All of them are still hurt in some form or fashion, and they're not ready to wrestle. Now, if they're not in this tournament, I was going to say the other team that I would like to see face the Hung Bucks is Best Friends.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of trios that could really make this. Would you be cool with the Hung Bucks winning the trios tournament?
For sure.
I think I thought for sure that you wouldn't be cool with it, but I think I had a dream last night where I asked you about it, and you were like, "No, that would be." I'm not going to do the J Bell impression, but you were like,
"You can go ahead."
No. Too much pressure. Too much pressure now. I mentioned it though. I've been having really vivid dreams lately. Vice just showed up. I had a dream the other night, and I texted him the next day and apologized. That's how real this dream felt, because I had to go work my lunch shift at a restaurant, and I told Bo we were supposed to play 18. And I was like, "You go ahead and tee off. I'll meet you up by hole 4." And I got like quadruple sat. And then the iced tea wasn't made. And when I look up, Bo texts me. He's like, "I'm on hole 13 when you get in here." And I was like, "Oh, sorry,
shit.
dude."
I totally forgot.
I woke up. It was that Reservoir Dogs line. He's like, "You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize." It was like, you leave me playing 18 by myself in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Right.
Anyway, I would be totally cool with the Hung Bucks being the initial trios champions. Also, I would love to see them fight the Best Friends. Love to see them fight Death Triangle. I mean, even Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh would be a good.
I think they will be in the tournament. I don't expect them to do damage, but
the thing about AEW is that there's so many fucking factions that you could have tons of.
And this is why I was always
fucking
saying
House of Black
sense.
with Buddy Matthews.
Okay, he's been AWOL for God knows how long. It's time to bring him back and bring him back for this tournament. It's a time where now, if a 4-hour, 5-hour AEW pay-per-view doesn't seem that long if you put match after match after match where now you have some sort of emotional investment in it. I'll go back to Forbidden Door. I looked up, it was 2 hours in, and the Orange Cassidy and Osprey were coming out. I'm like, damn, what time is it? It's 9 o'clock. Oh, shit. 2 hours fly by if you can get invested into it. A lot of the times, WWE can't do it. AEW has done a much better job to it. And I think this Trios title tournament will build to All In, and then you have a nice-ass Trios tournament final.
Not to jump ahead, but did you notice during the G1 match between Osprey and Finley that Lance Archer was on guest commentary, and he said, maybe I'll win that IWGP US title and bring it back to AEW, and Kevin Kelly goes, that's exactly what that company needs, another belt. It's like, damn, Kevin Kelly. Lance Archer got a pretty good chuckle out of it, too.
He does say he ain't lying.
Next up, Moxley cuts a terrific backstage promo. If there's anybody that understands his character, it is Jon Moxley. I mean, when he said,
I don't care.
People ask me, who do you want to win, Wheeler Yuta or Jericho? He goes, I don't care. He goes, that's not a stock answer. He goes, look at me. He goes, I don't care.
I say, somebody about to get this work.
It was perfect. Next up, we're gonna skip past that part. Jungle Boy almost pulls a Rikishi and tries to run over Christian Cage talking to Tony Schiavone backstage.
You said pull Rikishi. That's great.
I mean, he came in there hot, though, and he slammed on the brakes, and I was like, I wonder how much room he has. He did not have a whole lot of room. That dude probably only got his driver's license like last year. He might still be a permit driver.
I'll say whatever it was, he came in hot like a motherfucking shit. I'll say, man, look, you're supposed to at least slow down, take the foot off the gas, and then hit the brake. It's not gas, brake.
I almost just made a terrible joke about needing your dad to teach you how to drive, but I'm going to leave it there.
Dad. Dad.
So Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter have a tag match against Thunder Rosa, and help me.
Wow.
Dude,
you get ready to make my point.
Tony Storm.
You're getting ready to make my point.
I watched this match. This was a good match.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Jamie Hayter got the pin, which I'm a fan of because I think that Jamie Hayter is a little underused.
It's very underused.
So I was a fan of this tag match. What point was I about to make for you?
Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter are like the two women in this match that I really wanted to focus on. Tony Storm as the number one contender being a tag partner with Thunder Rosa makes 0 sense. Zero.
Excalibur did a good job of telling that story on commentary, though.
I get that. But if, just in kayfabe style, if you're Tony Storm, you're the number one contender, why are you tagging with this woman, number one? Number two, the bigger picture is with Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter. I love them both, and I think they're very criminally underused at certain points. Jamie Hayter being the one that's been there longer that really hasn't had this push until now where it feels like you're getting ready to feed her to Thunder Rosa on Saturday night. I don't want to – look, I get it. Thunder Rosa needs opponents, and you're gotta give her one. Jamie Hayter is a credible opponent. She's top 4, blah, 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 blah. Look, man, Jamie Hayter is bigger than that. If you're not going to use Jamie Hayter right, if you're not going to use Tony Storm right, let them go to Stardom. Go back to Japan. Yeah, I'm a fan, so, yeah, naturally this is where my fandom's going to come in. Let them go back to Stardom and get something out of that versus just hoarding the talent.
Well, that's a ridiculous take. I mean, they're never going to let Tony Storm go back to Stardom. Tony Storm is a big-time star. Jamie Hayter.
And she's not a big-time star. She's a supporting role player in this Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa thing.
It can't happen immediately. They still have to work their way out of the Thunder Rosa.
Tony Storm, I'll give you the pass for. Jamie Hayter, I'm not giving you a pass for.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, fair. Go ahead.
As long as I get the pass on Tony Storm. Because Tony Storm is going to be the champ. She's been there. She's going to be the next champ.
She's beating Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
Okay.
Up next, we had Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara going to fight at All Out, it looks like.
Feels like it.
The next segment I have is Hobbs versus Jobs because I didn't bother writing down that other guy's name. Here we are, though. It's another black guy. It's got to be Hobbs versus a black guy. That guy got the most out of his. They announced his name though. He like did a little pose.
Damn right. You better get it in.
He was like, "Mom, I'm on TV."
I'm sitting there, on Twitter like, "This is Powerhouse Hobbs versus fill in the blank." I got to tweet quick because this match is getting ready.
Yeah, it was like 44 seconds.
It's a straight up squash.
The crowd really reacted to the Hobbs versus Starks interaction. I was a big fan of Hobbs getting the better of Starks. I was a fan of Starks, and the announcers did a good job of telling the story that Starks was too mad that he let his emotions get the best of him, and he couldn't get over on Hobbs. He probably could face him one-on-one straight up, but he was just too fired up. I liked it.
It makes sense because Ricky Starks' promo last week was basically getting ready to start on Powerhouse Hobbs and how he and Hobbs were like boys and they're going to start making this movement, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously Hobbs blindsides Ricky Starks. I didn't think that Ricky Starks had this big of a babyface appeal. I knew that fans liked him, but I just assumed that he would just be a heel. He feels like a heel character. This has some legs, at least through the Powerhouse Hobbs portion of the program. Where they go from there, I'm not sure, because now we're going to have like Ethan Page coming up here in a little bit. Maybe that might be somebody that you can cross paths with Ricky Starks with. But for the moment, I like how they're building this Ricky Starks Powerhouse Hobbs feud.
For sure. We had a Miro vignette, which was cool. We had a Darby Allin vignette, which was not cool. Do you have thoughts on either of those, Jason?
Miro is unfortunately one of those. It's good to see him, but the promo didn't really make sense. It's just very ambiguous. Is he going to join the Black?
He's running in place.
Is he joining the House of Black? Is he going to go against the House of Black? We'll see here in a little bit. Darby Allin versus Brody King next week in a coffin match doesn't do much for me because I would assume that Darby Allin would win. If you wanted to do something that would swerve me, Brody King wins, so that way you can build House of Black. If it's not just Brody King, but the House of Black in general. I just expect somehow Darby Allin to win this nonsense and move along. It's kind of like when
get his win back because Brody King whipped the shit out of him a couple weeks ago.
Right, and it would be like the Undertaker losing a coffin match. It would be so just like, oh, what the fuck? Not saying that Darby Allin has had like 15 coffin matches or anything like that, but this feels like his gimmick match. If he's going to lose it, you need to have him lose it and mean something versus him just losing it.
So, I'm not going to say it because I say it every week. Okay, I'll say it.
That stopped you when?
I'm a fan of Darby Allin's in-ring work.
Yeah.
Why did he have was that supposed to be a tattoo on his hand?
I was thinking so because
Excalibur said that's a tattoo on his hand, that he got tattooed on his hand.
Yeah. He had
so he had a sentence tattooed on his hand that said Brody King will go in the coffin next Wednesday or something?
Hey, man.
I mean, it was just like a sentence, and it looked like it was written by a third grader on his hand.
Okay.
So who gets a tattoo on the palm of their hand? I don't know anybody. I hope he gets buried with that.
I don't know anybody
in real life when he dies. I hope he's at the ripe old age of 100. I'm just saying. I hope he still has that shit ass tattoo.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I would be very surprised if that was a tattoo, real tattoo. Number one, two. If it was, it would be even harder to do it on your left hand when you're right-handed and be like, okay, you got to keep still. You got to keep still. Yeah, it's gonna look jacked up.
Well, there's tattoo artists that can draw it for you, though. Like, it's not necessarily his handwriting.
Okay, you're dealing with too much logic now. We're still talking about pro wrestling.
We're still talking about Darby Allin. Like,
you ain't shit, man. Let that nigga live. Let that man live.
I told Tony Khan that Brody King needs to be in AEW, and that just eats you up, doesn't it? It's like, come on, dude.
No, at least they're connecting the dots. Do I believe it? Yeah. Does it make me want to see this match anymore? Not so much.
All right, well, here's a fresh matchup coming up next. We have Christian Cage versus Matt Hardy. Christian Cage goes over in 10 minutes. These motherfuckers fought for 10 minutes.
I'm surprised they kept alive in 10 minutes. Shit, Matt Hardy going to that table. Ugh.
They didn't. It wasn't 10 minutes on my iPad. It was about 30 seconds because I was like, I took that time and rewatched TLC 1. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus comes out. Jungle Boy attacks him from behind. Jungle Boy apparently bought a ticket, came out, kayfabe style. He bought a ticket, came out in the hood, beat up Christian Cage, Christian Cage took off, and then Jungle Boy's music played. So if I buy a ticket and I decide to jump in the ring and start fucking fighting somebody, are they going to play "Kick in the Door" by Biggie Smalls as the other guy runs off?
No, you better be having. Hey, Jason, call wifey. I'm getting arrested. The only thing, my biggest takeaway from this whole segment, and it has it has one thing to do with what you said. Is one person. It's Luchasaurus. He's still coming out in the same heel gear that he had with Christian, which kind of makes me think that maybe he's not a babyface.
Nah, I think that's just a new look. And they just stuck with the new look, and they hope that people forget about it.
Okay. For me, if you're going to be a heel and you're going to flip heel, then you need to have the new look, the new music, the whole 9 yards. Part of the Becky disconnect with me is that she had the same music, but she was big-time Bex. That's not big-time Bex. The man is the music that I hear when I hear that, oh. That's the music I hear and I associate it with the man. When Big Time Bex, or in this scenario with whomever the case may be with Luchasaurus, he doesn't feel like a babyface. He still feels heelish and he looks heelish. Black as fuck. Come on, man.
Why is black heelish?
Well, you asked me why the white hat is heel, or why it has baby face.
Why? What's a baby face?
The white hat, cowboy movies, silent movies, white hat, baby face, black hat, heel.
Well, that comes from a long time ago, when the world was much more racist than they are now. But I mean, now that Barack Obama was president, now that
that don't mean shit.
Now that racism is dead.
I can run. Oh, wait. So I can run in this neighborhood right now and not worry about being accosted.
I'll tell you what. The funny thing about this neighborhood is that if you run around, you'll see some Black Lives Matter. I know we're in St. Charles. You will see some Black Lives Matter signs. You will see even some black people.
You bullshit.
Not just white people. Not just white people that would have voted for Obama a third time.
That would be me, sir.
Shout out to Get Out.
Oh, no. Never mind. Go ahead.
Coming up next, we had Daniel Garcia cuts a promo on Bryan Danielson, calls himself the Dragon Slayer. I'm cool with this.
I love it.
I was a big fan of the match last week. Daniel Garcia, I think that this kind of takes Daniel Garcia up a notch. That's a big win to tap out Bryan Danielson no matter how you do it.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. The fact that now you're going to double down on it, and now he's cutting a promo on Daniel Bryanson, this is going to be an all-in match in some form or fashion. Now, how we get there, I don't necessarily care. But I want to see, especially when Danielson is like, before Blackpool Combat Club was a thing, when him and Moxley were in the ring, we can, mentor these young guys, Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia, Will Yuda. Daniel Garcia obviously was one of those names on this list, and to see Daniel Garcia now be on the other side, have a win against him, and then you can build it up to where, Danielson shouldn't come out until like 2 weeks before All In happens, and then you can have him build that shit up. This is the best way you can use Bryan Danielson to get Daniel Garcia over. He's over in a lot of places, especially if you watch a lot of indie wrestling. You know who Daniel Garcia is. But now for the national stage, this is the guy to have Daniel Garcia go over once. God forbid if they double down on it. Shit.
He's a made man.
He's a made man.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you. So, Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, is that going to happen at All Out? Is that what we're thinking? Probably not going to happen.
Safe bet.
When is All Out? Do you know?
It's the weekend of Labor Day.
so it's still a month away.
Give or take.
Yeah. So after this, we had Pac highlights. He successfully defended the All-Atlantic Championship at Rev Pro. If this is the point of the All-Atlantic belt, is to have AEW represented overseas by somebody that's in AEW just to keep AEW's name in other places, like you would see like it was an indie promotion, then I think that it's actually a really smart business move by Tony Khan, and it's something that we really didn't even consider when the All-Atlantic Championship was announced.
No, actually, I'll give Two Beer credit because that was part of the reason why he picked Pac to win the All-Atlantic Championship is because the opportunity of doing overseas matches like this would be the benefit of it. Now, the problem with this is that Connor Mills is somebody that I know and I recognize. So when I'm watching AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, I'm like, oh, man, how did I not know this? Why are you not telling me this? There, I think, is the problem with just promoting this All-Atlantic Championship. We know Pac's the champion, but if he's going to wrestle and you're a Pac fan, you probably want to watch that match. I want to watch that match. The fact that I'm seeing highlights after the fact kind of bugs me a little bit. We did a really good job the first time around when Pac wrestled, who was it? Shota Umino on AEW Dark. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to see this shit. I wanted to see him against Connor Mills. I don't think Connor Mills is going to win, but I want to see the match. This is how you drum up interest in Pac, the title, AEW Dark Elevation, or whatever. They just didn't do a good enough job to say, hey, this match is going to be on Dark, and you need to go watch it.
Fair enough. Agreed. Ethan Page comes out and cuts an Ethan Page promo. It seems like Ethan Page's gimmick is that he bitches a lot about not being on TV enough, because that's all he fucking talks about. He comes out, cuts a promo about how people... Well, nobody buys my shirts. It's like, hey, well, A, you're not on TV. B, you're a buster. And then Stokely Hathaway, I don't really get the Ethan Page thing. I've said it before. I do get the Stokely Hathaway thing, though. And Stokely Hathaway comes up behind him, sneaks up behind him, talks to him a little bit off mic, hands him his business card, which he had done to Lee Moriarty before, and Ethan Page walks out with him, walks up the ramp with him. Looks like we're going to get a Stokely Hathaway stable, which I am here for. This is the type of stable that they don't have in AEW. Of all the factions and all the stables they have, they don't have one that is just connected by a manager, and that's the only connection. And that, to me, is cool.
I'll take it one step further. This is the only faction that would arguably have the head of the faction, the face of the faction, as a woman. Jade is the star of this Stokely Hathaway stable faction, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Jade is number one. Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, to me it's Page 2, Lee Moriarty 3. Doesn't matter. The fact that we have this stable, to me, makes it interesting. The fact that Stokely Hathaway is going out of his way to grab these individuals that haven't been able to latch on someplace else into his stable is interesting. Now, if you can build it, elevate it to where now they're that big stable, see Bobby the Brain Heenan in WWE, shit like that, I'm all for it. I'm interested to see where it goes, because Ethan Page is another guy that I had high hopes for when he came to AEW, and it hasn't been what I thought it would be.
It'll happen.
Okay.
And then finally, we have the Acclaim, or not finally, we got 2 more matches. Yes. We have the Acclaim. I mean, I just think about this as the main event, though.
No, it was not.
The Acclaimed versus Gun Club in a dumpster match. The Acclaim go over in about 5 minutes. Oh, night. I'm talking to Bo. Night. No,
let's say you ain't tucking Bo bed out here.
Talking to Edna Kingston. The Acclaimed beat the Gun Club in the dumpster match. They
whatever
dumped the dumpster over.
Whatever. New Age Outlaws versus Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. Go back, Google it. That match was better than this match.
You don't say.
I do say.
You think so? New Age Outlaws versus Terry Funk and Mick Foley.
Hey, you're welcome, everybody.
Or Billy Gunn's fucking...
The fact that Billy Gunn was out there, at least...
Kids with extra chromosomes versus the Acclaimed.
Look, it at least connects the dots. From that point, I had zero interest in this. The Acclaimed as a babyface team is what I want to see moving forward. Look, people pop for it.
The crowd likes him. I mean, he had a cheap line about Vince McMahon that wasn't even like, he's like, I'll make you retire like Vince McMahon, and people go, oh, it's like they're just reacting because he said Vince McMahon on AEW television.
Pretty much.
Last up, we had Wheeler Yuta versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho goes over. The winner is going to fight Jon Moxley next week for the interim AEW title belt. I got to admit, when this match was announced, I thought that Yuta was going to go over. I thought that would be way more interesting to have Yuta go over and then just have Moxley destroy another guy from Blackpool Combat Club. Hey, you can make that.
Have you not watched pro wrestling before?
Oh my! Now that's insulting.
Did you not see this coming?
No, there was something earlier that you didn't see coming, and I didn't make you feel like an asshole for it.
Bucks getting jumped by Undisputed Elite.
Yes, yeah, I didn't make you feel like an asshole for it.
You could have. You really could have.
I wouldn't do that though.
Yeah, right.
That's fine.
I'll just say this. I like the fact that the ending had the Lion Tamer finisher with the knee on the neck.
Regal called it too. They called it the Balls of Jericho, and Regal goes, "That's a Lion Tamer. That's a Lion Tamer. That's the one that actually hurts." And
that's the preview of what hopefully should happen next week, where you have an intense Chris Jericho, an intense Jon Moxley for the AEW interim championship, and you can go from there. Wheeler Yuta didn't look bad. I just think this was just another chance for those who didn't know who Wheeler Yuta was before Jon Moxley. Here's a chance to get you, introduced to Wheeler Yuta.
It's a big deal just by virtue of him being in the match.
For sure. And the stakes enough now make it interesting to where you have to see if Wheeler Yuta can pull it off. He had the seatbelt, pin going, and then, obviously Jericho flipped it, puts the Lion Tamer on, he taps out, perfect. They cut promos after it. I'm interested to see this match. I'm pretty sure Moxley retains because you just can't. I would be really surprised if Moxley loses.
Retains. Have you ever watched pro wrestling?
Once or twice. I'd be surprised if Moxley loses before CM Punk comes back. I'll go that far.
Completely agree. I wish that it wasn't Jericho versus Moxley, though. I feel like we've seen it enough times.
They made it make sense. Chris Jericho never got his rematch from losing to Moxley the first time.
All right. Let's get to that 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, what's the 3 count?
We're going to do a little G1 recap, nights 8, 9, and 10. We're going to start off with David Finley, who is slowly but surely starting to become the star of the tournament. We'll talk about him a couple of times here, but the first time we're going to talk about him against Shingo. David Finley beat Juice to come into this, and then I'm thinking to myself, okay, Shingo should easily take over David Finley. No big deal. Not so fast, my friend. David Finley upsets Shingo, and probably one of the upsets of the tournament, if not the upset of the tournament. Shingo loses to David Finley in night 8 to open it up. From that point, we have Jonah beating Tom Lawler. You were kind of talked about Tom Lawler being
He's kind of being presented as a comedy act, yes.
Like I said, I'll push back on that a little bit just for the fact that he has been the New Japan Strong champion for the better part of the year. He just coughed it up recently to Fred Rosser.
He wears Derek Daisy Young. Dukes, and he tears off his Daisy Dukes in the middle of the match to reveal shorter Daisy Dukes.
And he can break your arm at any given point. So
no shit. Apparently, he's a big MMA guy also.
He used to do
UFC. He's a badass.
He used to do UFC.
No doubt. He also has a very good sense of humor.
Tom Lawler is pretty fucking funny, no question about it. I like the fact that he was on commentary at Night 8. I'm sorry, Night 9, but neither here nor there. ELP, Tom Lawler, and Lance Archer in guest commentary for the next 3 nights.
Who did the best out of those 3?
If you wanted to be entertained, ELP. If you wanted to hear some breakdown of what is really going on, I think Tom Lawler and Lance Archer was probably somewhere in the middle.
Lance Archer just marked out.
Yeah, and I'm not. Look, I ain't mad at him. Shit, a couple of times,
I
the
totally
main
agree.
event,
Totally agree.
for the main event, night 10.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, just mark the fuck out. Sonata versus Great O'Khan. Great O'Khan, I had a lot more high hopes for him coming in. He loses to Sonata after Sonata misses the moonsault, which is usually the beginning of the end. If you listen to this podcast, that's usually the mark of Sonata losing, but he ends up getting the O'Connor roll to beat the Great O'Khan, all hell. And then the main event in night 8 was Tanahashi versus ZSJ. I will keep saying it until the day I die. When Tanahashi has bad knees and you're the submission master, I don't know why you're going for the arms. The arms sound good, especially if you tore one arm up. But if your man can't walk, why is the man going to be able to wrestle? Tanahashi pulls this one out, beating ZSJ and Naito. As far as I'm concerned, he's a marked man in the Block C. Please, go ahead.
I'll start with the main event. I had a physical reaction. Didn't know that I wanted ZSJ to win as bad as I wanted him to. When he got pinned, I was pissed. What was really remarkable about this match was the interaction, the interplay between the two after the pin, because ZSJ didn't really heal it up. Now, I understand that he healed it up in the post-match promo, but at the time, he was kind of laughing. He was like, seriously? He's like, because the pin that he had before also looked like it was 3.
The fact that when the pin happened and I saw it, I'm like, was Zach's arm underneath the rope? And it never really came up until after the fact, and I watched the backstage comments, and CSJ just goes ballistic.
Also, I want to say that ELP's fake translation of Tanahashi's promo afterwards, where he said, yes, he's like, yes, I can beat everybody, especially if I cheat. ELP was definitely the most entertaining out of the 3 commentators because he healed it up the most. For sure. He was really good.
He played into his character.
Yeah, he reminded me of Jerry the King Lawler. Like, I thought that he
was a heel commentator.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't on the level of Bobby the Brain Heenan, but he was just subtle enough to be, he's like, yeah, I thought he was really funny. This was a great night of wrestling. That match fucking ruled. Kevin Kelly even brought up the match that they had a few G1s ago where nobody touched the ropes throughout the entire match.
I saw this match, and now I got to go back and watch it because I'm like, nobody touched the ropes. That seems weird to me.
It seems weird, but you know what else seems weird is that match between Ibushi and Taichi where it was all kicks the entire time, which I fucking loved. It was like 18 minutes, and it was all kicks. It was
just
fucking
breaking
badass.
These guys down.
Sonata, Great O'Khan. I'm not the biggest fan of either of these guys. I was surprised to see Sonata go over because I thought that the company was way more behind Great O'Khan. I did not see him going 0-2. I would have put a lot of money on Great O'Khan winning this. ELP was also funny during this match, talking about how the Mongolian chop should be illegal. It was very, very, very good. Lawler versus Jonah. Yeah, that was Lawler versus Jonah.
Yep.
This was a decisive victory by Jonah. Not what I expected. As I said, Lawler being presented as a comedy act. And we're going to get to a spectacular comedy match that came up a little bit later that Jason will probably hate. Finley versus Shingo. Finley versus Shingo. I wasn't as surprised as you thought I was. Maybe Finley's just such a great promo that I bought into him saying after he beat Juice Robinson that this was his year. But when he beat Shingo, I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, there we go. Yeah. And I love Shingo. I'm a Shingo mark.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'll just say this. With Tanahashi rolling up Naito, and then before that, Shingo barely escaping Yoshihashi, this just felt like it was kind of more of the same. I'm not mad about that, but it just felt like guys were escaping or just barely losing. In this case, Shingo barely loses to David Finley. I want him to beat Juice Robinson because that makes sense. Finn Juice, you should beat your former tag team partner. Okay, fair enough.
And we have some Juice stuff coming up later, too.
And then now you have Shingo, who was former IWGP champion, current KOPW champion, which neither here nor there. He's still a champion. So now you beat him in this scenario.
Little peek behind the curtain. This is the second time we've had to talk about this because technical difficulties, and both times Jason fucked up KOPW.
It doesn't matter to me. It's 24/7. I'm not supposed to know it. But in either event, the fact that David Finley has won these matches is now a peak to what's going to happen towards night 10.
All right. What about night 9?
Night 9, we open up with Jeff Cobb versus Lance Archer, big meaty men slapping meat. Jeff Cobb wins meaty men slapping meat. Didn't really get Lance Archer over for the Tour of the Islands, but he got it done. He wins the opening match.
Oh, no, he got it. That was a Tour of the Islands, dude. Lance Archer's a big guy to be doing Tour of the Island too.
Okay.
And he did it about as well
as you possibly could. For 260, 270, yeah.
It was like a B+ Tour of the Islands, though.
I gave it a B-. That's just me.
Now we're really picking this.
I see them throw too many guys around. I'm sorry.
All right.
Juice Robinson versus Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi steals the win over Juice Robinson.
Yes.
I thought Juice Robinson is going to be one of those guys, especially in the D block, that's going to challenge Will Osprey. Apparently, that's not going to happen. Juice Robinson is now down to 2 points, where Yoshihashi goes up to 2 points. Chase versus Jay White, to me, was the interesting point of night 9 coming up to this point. Chase and Jay White, obviously, both Bullet Club guys, so there was going to be a payoff to happen to Chase, so that way he just lays down and Jay White gets the win.
So I'll cut you off here before you stop. The only
it's not like we haven't done this.
I'll talk about the other matches before. The other matches. Let's just go over the other ones. So I liked Cobb versus Lance Archer about as well as I can like a big man versus big man match. It was fun.
It was not asking a lot. It's just two guys just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, and it was about 12 minutes. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was great. Yoshihashi beating Juice fucking ruled. I am quickly becoming radicalized to thinking that like Godot and Yoshihashi are like my dudes in the G1 now, and I know that I was. Remember last year?
Oh, yeah.
Last year, their match was like my favorite match.
Okay, I thought you was going to talk about this year where you was running down Godot as not even being a contender for this shit, but that's okay.
Not cool by me. No, it wasn't cool by me. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to change my mind.
Okay,
but,
fair enough.
Yoshihashi and Godot are both just tried and true hands. Like, really.
You stole my word. I was going to say they're really good hands.
They really are. They can just make anybody look good, and they should be allowed to go over at any time, which both of them have.
I don't know. I was like, Godot, yeah, I'll give you. Look, if Yoshihashi beats Naito, there's going to be a serious problem on this podcast.
The story of Juice for the tournament, though, is that Juice is just angry. Like, he is pissed off. He is a pissed off dude, and it has cost him a couple matches thus far. He's 1-2 so far, right?
Yes. Juice, because I know you don't watch the pre-matches or whatever before the G1.
I don't know.
This is the reason why I like watching these pre-matches. Juice and Jay White have a really good chemistry where Jay White will chop somebody and Juice says stupid in Spanish, or not Spanish, but Japanese. So it's like, back, forth, or he misses somebody and Juice is like, stupid in Japanese. And it's the same thing. They are so both annoyingly bad. They make a really good heel tag team. Not saying I want Jay White to be a tag team guy by any stretch of the imagination, but if you wanted to do it, those are two guys that I think you can put together and have a really annoying ass heel tag team for Bullet Club.
So I would love to see Yoshihashi go over Naito. that would really tickle my fancy.
Look, man.
As a wrestling
fan.
Look, going into
not even the same block.
Going into White and Owens. I thought you just said that you didn't want Yoshihashi. Oh, you didn't want Godot to go over. Wait, didn't you just say you didn't want Yoshihashi?
If Yoshihashi beats Naito at any given point, there's going to be a problem on this podcast. God, let's be perfectly clear on that.
Okay, so where I stopped you was Jay White versus Chase Owens. Very fun match. It reminded me of, and I don't know, as long as we've been watching the G1,
the J1.
As long as we've been watching it, the only time I can remember a match like this was when it was supposed to be Jay White over Yujiro. And it was the same thing. Like, he was like, you lay down for me, I'll pay you money. Now, this time, Chase Owens pulled out the money, and it was all construction paper, except for a couple hundreds on top. I was going to say,
this one was more of a story where Chase was like, okay, motherfucker, how you ain't going to pay me my money? How you ain't going to pay me my money?
But Chase Owens, even in this one, took the finger poke of doom, went down, and then kicked out.
Now it's on.
Which is really funny.
Now it's on.
That's the kind of wrestling my grandpa would like. Okay. My grandpa would think that was funny as shit.
No, this is not how we're going to end this shit, okay? The finger poke of doom is a great callback because it's one of those bad parts of wrestling that nobody likes to talk about.
But it's a Jay White thing against another Bullet Club guy. This
is what I expect you to do.
Lay down for me, please. Lay down.
Even if I'm shorting you $800.
And then Jay White ends up going over. This was tremendous entertainment. This is
Chef's kiss.
It's a perfect comedy match between two guys that are usually serious, but in the context of the tournament, the comedy part made sense, and this is why the G1 actually fucking rules.
Connect the dots, especially where, like you said, when you
there's
have Bullet
so many
Club
stories you can tell.
Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, where Jay White has forced Chase Owens to make this decision against, the core four or whatever. So now, fast forward to the G1, this is Chase Owens' only chance, probably his only chance to ever sniff the championship. And all he has to do is beat his boy.
I'll tell you what, he could sniff the championship a little bit more every year if he stopped sniffing the buffet every single year. Dude is got some fucking love handles, right? You feel me? You feel me? He's a little chubby.
All right, man. Go ahead.
He's a little chubby.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go on, man.
Listen, I'm the chubbiest guy. I'm the chubbiest guy sitting right here. I can make fun of chubby people. He's chubby.
Leave that man alone.
All right. Okada versus Bad Luck Foley. Bad Luck Foley has a record of against Okada, 2-1 in the G1. Okada ends up going over. Bad Luck Foley taps out very quickly to the money clip, which is the first time that's ever happened.
I was getting ready to say, has anybody tapped out to the money clip?
Yes, people have tapped out to the money clip that quickly. No, but Tom Lawler did a great job explaining
trying to sell it.
Why.
God bless you.
Because his shoulders are so big, it probably hurts more.
God bless you.
Go
ahead, Tom.
I mean, kayfabe style. He was trying to explain it.
And look, God bless Tom Lawler. Like I said. Entertaining, ELP, most technical, Tom Lawler, somewhere in the middle, Lance Archer.
It was funny. And then finally, Evil against Naito. And I know that you love this. Go ahead. I'll let you go. I love you. I know you love Naito going over Evil. Go ahead. Tell me why you loved it so much.
Well, first and foremost, this is why Joey was like, you haven't watched SummerSlam? No. I want to watch G1 first. If Naito doesn't beat Evil, I don't give a rat's ass about SummerSlam.
But Joey doesn't watch a G1 at all.
No, hell no, because he doesn't get it. I don't expect him to get it. It's way early for the morning for most people. I understand that.
I mean, I don't watch it in the morning.
No, but I mean, sometimes I get up at 6 or 7 because I just can't sleep.
I watched 7 G1 matches today. It's easy. Just do it while you're working.
Excuse me, sir. You wanted your steak? Oh shit! Naito's going off the top. Medium rare.
I'm not saying you can do it while you're working.
Come on, man. Can we get some TVs over here so I can not move towards the kitchen, please?
It's white privilege.
Thank you.
Sorry, bro.
Sorry. Okay.
Missed it.
All that being said, obviously this is I
didn't think it existed after Barack Obama got elected president.
It still don't matter. They trying to kill us for taking fucking jogs. Naito obviously in a must-win scenario versus Evil.
Stop running so fast.
Look, we're jogging, man. Damn. You act like the police is behind us and shit. Evil being the Benedict Arnold of LIJ facing Naito, so there's a lot to go with this. House of Torture is probably somewhere behind it, not even somewhere. They're at ringside with Dick Togo. For me, I was very hesitant to think that Naito was going to win. I was hopeful. He ends up taking this bad boy and now stays alive in the tournament, beating Evil, which is, like I said, the Benedict Arnold of LIJ. Not the best match in the world. The pile driver on the table.
That was a spot, dude.
And I saw it setting up. I'm like,
that was a spot.
Are they getting ready to really do this? And I was like, ugh. And then they kind of like, gaffed it a little bit before it happened. I'm like, okay, we can just scratch this at any point. And this is me saying this about the Benedict Arnold with LIJ. I'm like, you can go ahead and scratch this.
Don't kill him.
Yeah. And they went through it. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
That was an incredible spot. That was the spot of the match by far.
Easily. You
saying that you didn't think that Naito was going to win, or that you were skeptical he was going to win. There was no way Naito was going to go 0-3. No way he was going to go 0-3.
With Evil as the opponent and the way LIJ is booked where they don't interfere and House of Torture always interferes, yeah, I'm very skeptical.
The reason this fucks me up is that I picked Evil to win that block.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't look like Evil's winning that block.
Evil, Naito, a lot of guys are going to have to, well, I'm not going to spoil it just yet. I'll just say that a lot of guys in the C block will have to get help from Godot, who is leading the block, and we can move to night 10 from there.
All right, night 10, what's up?
Night 10 will go with the starter, the curtain jerker match, Ishii versus Great-O-Khan. All hail. Great-O-Khan coming into this match 0-2, Ishii at 1-2. So basically, this is, for me, a must-win scenario for both guys, especially when you have 6 matches to run the table or to make shit happen. Great-O-Khan gets on the board, finally beating Ishii. I thought that Ishii was going to win this, especially when Great-O-Khan fucked up the sheep herder submission, but Great-O-Khan ends up winning it. Jano versus Tom Lawler. Tom Lawler, unfortunately, is kind of being pigeonholed in the I guess Bill Vagey scenario where he's a comedy guy. I can see this more and more, especially in this match. Thank God that Jano does end up losing this match. Tom Lawler gets on the board, so we got 2 guys with the first 2 points of the T1 with Great-O-Khan and Tom Lawler. Tama Tonga versus Sonata next. This, to me, was a coin flip match, especially when you have...
Right guy went over.
I'm not going to say that. I wanted Tama Tonga to go over, especially with Tama Tonga and... Oh, yeah, I circled the wrong guy. Tama Tonga did go over Sonata in the B block.
I thought I was saying right guy went over with Sonata.
I circled the wrong motherfucker, man. Damn.
Hey, you know what happens when you pick Sonata to win? Sonata, good pick.
Tama Tonga wins, setting up a possible B block finale with Tama Tonga and Jay White at the end. Kenta coming into this bad boy winless versus Godot in the C block. C block being Godot leading the C block, Kenta being pointless. Kenta stealing wins over this. This is, to me, more about the stick of Godot / Yoshihashi versus anything else. Neither here nor there. And then in one of the better tournament matches that I've seen so far in the main event of night 10, you had David Finley coming down with the U.S. title, waving it in Will Ospreay's face, and Will Ospreay comes down in 15 minutes. They've had it's 30-minute time limit, and they did this in 15 minutes, and it's one of the best matches of the tournament. David Finley continues his hot streak and upsets Will Ospreay in the main event in night 10 on the block. Start wherever you want to start.
Great-O-Khan versus Ishii was
Great-O-Khan, all hail.
Was fine. I love Ishii. Like Jason says, Ishii versus everybody. I wish Ishii would have won this. Ishii is essentially the first guy eliminated from the G1 in this, I believe, because he's the only guy with 3 losses.
Okay, yep.
Lawler versus Jano. This match was fucking hilarious. Jano comes out trying to he's got his DVD of his new best of DVD Jano, and Tom Lawler gets handed to by his friend. What's his friend?
Royce Isaacs.
Royce Isaacs hands him a DVD copy of Sister Act, and then hands him a copy of Sister Act 2. And then Tom Lawler looks in the screen and says, "It was number 1 at the box office in America for 3 weeks in 1993, and trades Jano those 2 DVDs for Jano's DVD, which hasn't been released yet. And Tom Lawler opens it up. It's empty. Then they start. Then he rips off his pants to reveal Shorter Daisy Dukes. Then they have a fight. When Jano tries to go to win this match, he gives him a low blow, to which Lawler doesn't react, and Jano acts like his hand is hurt. He goes for a second low blow, acts like his hand is hurt. Lawler pins him. Lawler at the end pulls out a cup. He was wearing a cup the whole time.
Okay, so see everybody.
That's just smart wrestling.
Okay, so see everybody. Let's look at Tom Lawler and let's take that blueprint and move along.
Are we saying he's not a comedy wrestler? I mean, that's a everybody has a comedy match against Jano.
Okada didn't have a comedy match against Jano, but that's neither here nor there.
But it's a lot of respect for Okada. There's a big difference between Okada and Lawler.
Okay, I'll go this far just to stick to the subject. I would give more credit to Tom Lawler because that to me shows his versatility. He can be funny if he needs to be funny. He can be serious if he needs to be serious.
Oh, also he was wearing a wig that Jano pulled off. Yes. And Lance Archer goes, "That's why it looks so funny." Tama Tonga goes over Sonata. I don't remember this match at all because it was a Sonata match, and he is the most boring wrestler in this entire thing. There's no arguing with that. There's nobody more boring in this entire thing than Sonata.
Fale is more boring than Sonata.
Wrong. I disagree. I disagree. Sonata matches are boring.
Okay, so Fale's like 5 moves of doom or what?
Yeah, but at least if Fale wins, at least if he sneaks up on somebody and takes a win,
he ain't sneaking up on nobody. Man.
Okay, but it's exciting, or it's at least an upset. If Sonata beats anybody, it's not even an upset.
Fale beating anybody shouldn't really be an upset over unless it's Okada. Outside of that, he's the biggest guy in the freaking tournament.
I'm not going to argue Sonata with you ever again. This is it. This is the moratorium on it. I'm not going to argue with it. He's so fucking boring. And anybody that disagrees with me has their own opinion, and I respect it. You thought I was going somewhere else with it, didn't you?
I was waiting for the little, the period behind that, but you did well.
No, I respect anybody that likes that boring piece of shit, fucking blonde Japanese Abe Lincoln motherfucking beard. Fuck him. Grow a mustache, you fucking idiot. Then we have Kenta versus Godot. This is another one where I really wanted Godot to win because I knew that Godot was ahead in the block, and I wanted Godot to stay ahead in the block, and I did not like Kenta winning. Great match, though. Great match. Godot is having a hell of a G1.
It's not like it's a surprise, though.
No, it's not, but he is having a hell of a G1. And
he's leading the block, and I think that's the surprise, quote unquote.
All of a sudden, I'm a Godot mark.
Yeah, because he's beating my boy. That's all it is.
No, that's not what it was.
All this is that you want to see me squirm for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I'll say to you what you said to me earlier. It's not all about you, player. And that was off mic. Stuck with me, didn't it? And then we had
Tom Petty over here. You been waiting for that shit. I'm gonna wait for this.
Oh man, I was like,
God,
he's gonna set me up sooner or later. I'm gonna kill him with it. And then we had David Finley versus Will Osprey, which for me was the match of the tournament thus far. And as Jason said, what kind of made it the match of the tournament was Lance Archer doing the commentary with Kevin Kelly, and Lance Archer was marking the fuck out. He was like, oh, there we go. And he was like actively rooting for Finley. He was like, fuck him up, Dave. Fuck him up, Dave. But this
I want a title shot after
this match had so many, and it wasn't long. I think it was like
15 minutes.
That's all it was 15 minutes?
15, 16. They made the 15-minute call, and then the match ended subsequently thereafter.
It was so much fun, and David Finley getting a clean pin in the middle and then cutting a promo in the middle of the ring saying, this is my year.
No, first, he was like, here's your title back.
He beat Juice, Shingo, and Will Osprey.
All in a row.
Who's he have left?
That I don't know. I was getting ready to say...
I gotta find it right now.
Okay, so let's just say he's had 1, 2, 3. He's got 4 matches underneath his belt, so he's got 2 matches left. At best,
he's got only 3 matches, right?
No, I thought he lost his first match.
He hasn't lost.
He hasn't lost?
No. Right? Hold on. Let me check it. Vamp.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, right now he's at 6 points. If he runs the table, let's say Bill is right, he hasn't lost, that's 12 points. I think that's probably one win too many. Let's keep it at 10 because now he's in the same block with Will Osprey, obviously, who was the preeminent favorite.
He's got 6 points.
How many matches has he wrestled? That's
3.
Okay, so he's basically running the table.
He's got 6. Osprey's got 4. ELP's got 2.
If I'd have told you,
Shingo's got 2. Takahashi's got 2. Yoshihashi's got 2. Juice has 2. So Finley is he's got tiebreakers too. So all he has left is ELP, Takahashi, and Yoshihashi.
Okay, so Yoshihashi we already talked about. I would expect that to be a little bit of a struggle. Dare I say he drops the shit that New Japan is always good for. At the end of the tournament, you drop the tournament match that you're supposed to lose or supposed to win in this scenario. ELP and Takahashi, I can see him beating Takahashi. I can see him losing the ELP. So
sure.
At most, he gets 10 points. So now Will Ospreay would have to run the table, and David Finley would have to lose twice.
Yes.
For Will Ospreay to win the D block.
That's exactly right. And that is your G1 recap from the Band from Ringside podcast.
This is Band from Ringside.
Oh, I forgot. Let's do this.
1, 2, 3.
That was our 3 count. Now for a little odds and ends. You ready to go, Jason?
Yeah, please.
This is Band from Ringside.
All right, so Ric Flair had his last match. Jason watched the entire card. I heard the Josh Alexander match was really good.
Yeah, him and Jacob Fatu had a probably arguably the best match of the night. It ended up stopped in fuckery where Brian Myers and Matt Cardona jumped both guys to basically make it a no contest. Just, star for me personally. Mike Cardona seems to be back, so that might be a hope for the NWA card 74 that comes here at the end of the month.
Anything else on the undercard that you'd like to discuss before we get into the main event? I have
the
some
Wolves
thoughts on the main
versus
event.
the Motor City Machine Guns, I thought was the match of the night. It's cool to see Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards back together as a tag team.
Well, those are 4 fucking workers.
And
man.
it was the opening match, and God love Joey. He's just like, that's Eddie Edwards. He wants to be the first of the last. So it's funny to see the promoter side behind Joey and watching.
Well, Joey's on the inside now.
Yeah, very much so. It's good. It's good.
Pretty
to have
cool,
him
actually.
It's funny to hear him say that shit because
maybe you and I can get a tag match.
Who are we tagging against?
Because we know Joey.
Who are we tagging against, man?
Some Motor City Machine Guns.
Shit, they getting ready to get that work. They getting ready to get trios titles coming up in AEW. Shit, okay,
I'm sure. I mean, I know a guy.
Yeah, right.
You know Joey?
Just a little bit.
You met him?
I was happened to be at his house on
Vice,
Sunday
you know
night.
Joey?
I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just talk about the Ric Flair match.
Stokely Hathaway-ish. Sorry, you just got me high.
As the Ric Flair guy in the group, I had a lot of trepidation coming into this, and this match did nothing to soothe said trepidation.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you more of a Ric Flair guy than me?
I think he's the greatest wrestler that I've ever seen, period.
Yes.
He's my number one over everybody.
But I think that's what everybody thinks.
No. I've seen him against Steamboat. I've seen him against Terry Funk. I've seen him come into WWE.
I just thought that everybody thought that Ric Flair was.
No, he is my number one wrestler.
I don't know if he's my favorite. I don't know if he's my favorite, but I think that he's the best.
He's my favorite, and he's not number one.
Okay, fair enough.
He's on my Mount Rushmore. Is he on yours?
Vice, where? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not. Listen. Is like personal or just if I had to name it objectively, like who were the four best? Yes, it's Flair and Austin. There's a couple more guys.
Make it your personal Mount Rushmore.
Well, then it's Kurt Angle, Steven Richards, The Good Father, and and Bill Buchanan.
Right to Censor's got 3 of the 4.
Right to Censor, yeah, it's just Right to Censor, dude.
And Ric Flair.
Yeah, no, and Kurt Angle.
Vice, what's your Mount Rushmore right now of current guys, all-time guys, whatever you want to call it? Mount Rushmore, go.
Angle, Flair, Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
That's pretty solid.
No problem with that.
Pretty solid.
Flair is on everybody's Mount Rushmore. I would assume that Two Beer would feel the same. To see this match unfold and watch him struggle to the point where I'm like, is he alive at the end? When they're trying to pass him the brass knuckles.
It was terrible.
He couldn't even handle.
I just watched it today for the first time.
Dude.
And I didn't want to watch the full 30 minutes because I was watching G1, and I don't want to give that much time to this because it is carny indie bullshit. I mean, it is Legends stuff. As much as you love Ric Flair,
it was WWE to the ultimate extreme.
Oh, it was worse than that. It was carny. It was really bad. And when Andrade is trying to put the brass knuckles on Ric Flair, and he can't even make a fist. And don't tell me that was him selling either.
No.
That was not him selling. That was an old man that had been bleeding for 15 minutes. By the way, I just want to own this. I was completely wrong about this because I said, he's going to have a last match. He'll take a couple back bumps. He's going to know where the line is. He's going to be able to stop. He's 73 years old. He's as professional come. I was completely wrong. This was a 27-minute match that Ric Flair had way too much to do in and was almost dead the last 10 minutes. And I've listened to a couple podcasts this week of people that have said they're trying to make themselves sound better because they're like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. It was a pretty good match. That is garbage. The last 10 minutes of that match were
hard to watch.
Sad and pretty scary, actually, because you were like, am I going to watch this old fucker die right here?
There was the spot where Jay Lethal was supposed to do the superplex, and they did it in like the pre-match training or whatever, where Jay Lethal gets the superplex to Ric Flair. I'm like, okay, this is not even before I started to think it was really getting bad. I'm like, okay. We don't need to do the superplex. Please don't do this shit. And then Ric Flair came down. They did a suplex, and then the match went on.
Really bad.
Like I said, to me, HBK versus Ric Flair is Ric Flair's last match. I get it.
It ain't. I don't care what you remember. This is his last match.
Revisionist history for me.
That was 2008
HBK versus Ric Flair.
That was fucking 14 years ago.
This was some hot garbage bullshit. You could have had a pay-per-view, take away this main event, have Jacob Fatu versus Josh Alexander for the main event, and everything would have been okay.
Anybody defending it
got paid off of
it. People on Twitter and shit like that. No, I'm talking about just regular people.
Look,
they should be embarrassed to have that take. That is the worst fucking take.
There is no way you can legitimately defend this. The fact that Ric Flair was literally out on his feet,
bleeding
on
Crimson
multiple occasions.
Crimson Mask.
Andrade was basically dragging him at certain points. I'm like, man, stop.
Really sad.
Stop.
And you know what?
This is where I'm like,
you know what it kind of does? It kind of makes me. It kind of makes me mad at the people that fucking planned it. I kind of think Conrad is a douche anyway, but I especially think he's a douche. Like, there has to be somebody in front of Ric Flair that says no. when he says, listen, we're going to make this go 27 minutes, and I'm going
I want to take a superplex off the top rope. No, Rick, guess what you ain't going to do.
And I'm going to blade. There has to be somebody that says, nope, no way. We won't do it if you're deciding on doing that. Somebody
Post-match,
has
he's
to be
talking
there.
about, I'm going to go out with Kid Rock and have some drinks. If you don't sit your dumb ass down.
Dude, he's got 6 months left.
Come on, man.
That was a suicide mission. That was kamikaze.
He's lucky that he made it through the match.
The other thing is,
match.
I know how thoughtful of a guy Mick Foley is. I'm a big Mick Foley fan. I've read a couple of his books. I think that he's a really thoughtful, smart guy, and they showed him sitting front row. There's no way that Mick Foley walked away from that being like, he should have done that. I guarantee you that Mick Foley, who's a very thoughtful guy, walked away from that being like, that never should have happened. We almost watched a guy die in the ring. A legend. Which also would have been kind of cool, I guess.
No, fuck all that. You don't want to see me at Joey's, crying like a little bitch.
You ain't going to cry when Ric Flair dies.
Dude, I will shed a tear when Ric Flair dies. He is my guy. That is my dude.
I've never cried for a single celebrity.
Before Rock, before Austin, before anybody else, he is the first wrestler that I really gravitated to.
The only celebrity I would cry for is you, because I know you're a celebrity on Black Wrestling Twitter, because that chick that I work with goes, wait a minute, you're on a podcast with Jay Bell? And I was like, wait a minute, where do you live? She's like, Tampa. And I was like, you know who Jay Bell is? She's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I see him on Twitter. I was like, what the fuck?
That means I have no time on my hands between my two jobs and doing the podcast.
It means you're a celeb, dude.
That means I have no life.
You're going to die in the chair.
This chair right here. What's wrong with Jason? I think he's smoking some weed. No, he's not breathing anymore.
But we really do need to be fair to the match. And if anybody comes back on this podcast years from now and was like, what are wrestling podcasts saying about Ric Flair's last match? I want everybody to know that Jason Bell
hard thumbs down
and Bill Vagey said that it was sad.
Okay.
It was not good.
No, I don't want to see Ric Flair go out like that. That was like watching Jake Roberts pissing in the backstage,
Dude, they're going to show that moment. They're going to show that moment of his hand shaking, trying to get to the brass knuckles as he was passed out. And Andrade going right here and like picking up his pinky and shit.
Trying to put it on his hand and he couldn't put it on his hand.
They're going to show that in documentaries. They're going to show that in documentaries about wrestling for the next 100 years.
No.
Because that
Dark
shit
Side
was
of the
sad.
Ring will show that shit.
If Conrad sells it.
Why is he going to sell it? He basically put his father-in-law out there at 73.
I don't like him.
He put his father-in-law at 73 and made money off of it.
I met him backstage at Off-Broadway when I went back there to meet Bischoff, and he big-timed me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Fuck him.
He didn't know you was from Band from Ringside?
Yeah, he did. They didn't know what Band from Ringside was, dude.
Let's kick his motherfucking ass.
Bischoff acted like he did, at least. Bischoff was like, hey, Eric. And I was like, hey, Bill. I went back there. I was like, hey, Mr. Bischoff, you did the interview with us about a month ago. I'm Bill Vagey from Man from Ringside. And he goes, oh, hey, I'm Eric. And like he was like just completely faking it.
I'm not going to remember that shit, but I'm just going to put my hand out there. See?
And Conrad was just shoving a fucking double sourdough jack into his face. Fat motherfucker. Go do some more real estate, idiot.
Thanks for killing my fucking hero on fucking pay-per-view, you bitch.
I love talking shit to people that will never listen to this podcast.
No, they'll
like
never
Billy
hear that
Gunn's retarded-looking kid.
Which one?
The one that I talked about a couple weeks ago. I was like, this guy looks like an idiot. His chest looks stupid.
Taller or shorter?
The tall one.
Okay. Colton.
I was going to say Connor. Yeah, Colton. Anyway, sorry about saying the R word. Anything else to say? Anything else to say about Ric Flair's final match?
No, it's. I'm glad it's over. Never come back. Let's just do the. Move forward.
This is Banned from Ringside.
All right, before we go away, I'm going to tell you guys the 3 best jokes that I saw from the 25 minutes that I watched of the Ric Flair roast this week.
This should be bad.
First of all, this comedian said that Ric Flair's liver had soaked up more booze than the mat at DDP's shitty yoga studio. And then he called DDP Downward Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh, stop. Shut the fuck up.
And then Brad Nessler, who was the roast master.
Right.
The football announcer.
He does like college football or whatever.
He said, this dais is so white. If it was any whiter, Chris Jericho's wife would storm the Capitol with it. Really good stuff. That was just the first 25 minutes. Those three.
You didn't watch the rest of this shit?
I was watching it with my daughter while she was just shoving yogurt in her mouth. I was just like,
keep eating. No, keep eating. This is gonna be good.
No, I mean, there's probably 2 hours left. We'd probably go in and watch it.
Comedy, dude.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Okay, we got some birthdays this week. Dean Malenko,
63.
62, pretty close. Frankie Kazarian is 45.
No, don't ask me that shit.
Dino Bravo
It was one time. He is dead. R.I.P. Dino Bravo.
would have been
the
73.
Mafia got his ass.
Yep. Tony Nese is 37. Sable, Mrs. Brock Lesnar.
Oh, yeah.
55.
Was she married? No, that was Deborah that was married to
He stole her from Scott Miro, right?
Mark Miro.
Mark Miro.
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler is 42. She's my age. Zach Gibson is 32. Silas Young is 42, the last real man.
Shout out to my wrestling savior guide. High five time. Get Silas Young on your shit, man.
I also want to say that Silas Young apparently went to Jack Patrick's after wrestling at the Grand Ole, which there's going to be another one. And
now, are we supposed to do that?
I'm not saying anybody that's there. I'm just saying everybody keep wrestling in the Grand Ole in your mind.
Yeah,
okay? Keep it in the back of your
there's
mind.
a second one happening. We just don't know the date
I don't know.
yet.
I'm just saying everybody keep it in your mind. You know, people talked about Lollapalooza the month after.
We don't know there's going to be. Never mind.
Silas Young apparently went to Jack Patrick's.
He
and
did.
He was a big sweetheart, and everybody really liked him.
he
And
was-
stayed there till close,
Yeah,
which
he
is
was really cool.
my type of dude. Alexa Bliss is 31. Tugboat / Typhoon. R.I.P. Would have been 66. Savio Vega? Alive. 58. Wade Barrett is 42.
On your show, NXT. They're going to take that shit over when Triple
Oh,
H.
we should have talked about NXT tonight.
Triple H taking it
Hey,
over.
everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Advice,
Check.
For Tender Mahal, for
Check.
Joey O'Farrell,
Check.
for the Sideways in Time podcast with
Double
Murray
check.
the Murray Man Murray, for Lucha Chris, for
Check.
Patriot Path,
Check.
for Soul Taco,
Check.
for my dog Reba, for my
Check.
cat Xander, for my
Check.
cat Millie,
Check.
for my wife
Check.
Erin, for my daughter Edna.
Double check.
Everybody, support your local weed dealers, support your local restaurants,
check.
and never, ever, ever, ever forget. Split the heels.
Boo! Hey, I was here too.
And for Jason Bell. Apparently I forgot him.